I think I'm saying that we struggle all our lives to answer it. But it's the struggle that is important. That's what helps us to define our place in the universe.
This is Beverly, Dr. Beverly, Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Look where we are. Here, all of us, in this moment. So let's do what we spent our entire lives learning to be great at.
And this is Crusher Convo.
Welcome to Crusher Convo, where we're crushing the conversation one episode at a time. Grab your Cracker Jacks and let's stretch during the seventh inning, as I have a special episode today to celebrate Jackie Robinson Day. I have Joe Dove from Captains Quadrant to talk DS9's Take Me Out to the Holosuite. Welcome, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you. So glad to be here, crushing the conversation about one of my favorite, lovely episodes of Deep Space Nine. It's such a sweet episode. It's like, in the midst of everything that's going on. Yeah. In the midst of everything that's going on with the war and all the chaos that's happening, they do this one really sweet episode that's just like, it's like a palate cleanser.
A little bit. Now, I do, before we jump in real fast, I am going to mention, ta-da, my sponsor. So, Cherry Tree. If you love board cube computers, little figurines of little cats on board cubes, or even some lower deck figurines that's on your keyboard, or even a Klingon mouse, head over to Cherry Tree. You could use my code CrusherCombo6 to get 6% off your order. Just head over to mycherrytree.com and follow them on the socials at Cherry Tree Incorporated. Want to do that real quick, but here's my little Borg kitty. This is Obi nice. Borg. That's what I.
Nice.
Obi's sitting on there. We already got a couple of people in the chat. We have Wes. Hello, Wes. And then Chuck. Hello, Chuck.
How you doing, Chuck?
Awesome. Now, before we get in, I wanted to ask you a question, Joe.
Sure.
And that is, what is your trek and why?
Deep Space Nine is my trek. And yeah. So I thought it was very fitting that you brought me in on this one. Why is because it brought the family together. When my grandmother was recovering from her heart attack and she returned home, it was the one thing that she, my uncle, and my mom all got together and watched. My aunt was never a Trekkie, so she never took part. But
right,
this is the thing that brought us all together.
Nice. That I feel is what Trek does. I've heard so many different people that is saying like, yeah, the whole family got together to watch Star Trek on TV. Or, right after this live, I sat down with Kitty and Armin. So it's another like coincidence. I'm going to have some DS9 peeps at the very end of this. But, because we're talking about Purple Stride, which is coming out here soon. And they were talking about Matty Koto, who had done Enterprise. And there's like a picture of him like in front of the TV, just watching Star Trek, So I feel like that's just... that in a sense just brought the family together. It was just one of those things where you guys could just, world stopped. You're all together watching this television show, no matter which one it was. I didn't have that, obviously. I didn't grow up with Star Trek, but I had my own. Like I loved Golden Girls, got some Saved by the Bell, I had to throw that in there. But Xena was my jam.
Xena Warrior Princess.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. I taped every episode on VHS.
Wow.
I have like a scrapbook full of stuff. I have over 250 8x10 photos.
Wow.
Of the show. Yeah.
Did you tape it with the commercials?
Yes.
Oh, so you got some gold on there. Those nice classic 90s commercials are just like...
I had to get rid of them because during the recession, we lost everything in 2008 and we had to move. And so we had to limit, like I actually had one of those cardboard cutouts. I had one of Xena. I had to leave a lot of things behind, which those were one of them. I think I might have been able to save like one video, but yeah, episodes. But I do have them, like, of course, in DVD form, but not not the golden age of pressing the record button.
Yeah, because I remember there's a story of a woman that has all of Doctor Who on VHS. And when she passed away, she gave them to either a museum or something like that. And Classic Who, I think she had everything until 84 or something like that. And it has just it was such a wealth of amazing TV that she bestowed to somebody.
That's awesome. Wes says that TNG was my show growing up, but now DS9 is my Trek. And he says, oh yeah, Xena.
Yeah, Xena was a lot of fun. I remember thinking, man, she should probably play Wonder Woman at some point. And then when Wonder Woman came out, and I went, wow, they really took what I said and just said, you know what? We're going to make her costume look like one. Xena Warrior. Okay.
They did a little different. Close. Yeah. It was close. Almost. But one thing that was great about Xena, I know this is a Star Trek podcast, so sorry, guys, but we're talking about Xena now. But that kind of like what you were saying about this episode, that this was a palate cleanser, is that like some Xena episodes were hilarious. Like I think their Groundhog episode, Been There, Done That, is comedy gold. Okay. And I mean, here's the thing of where like, Xena's killing gods and, there's Demon Baby and all this stuff. And then also the next episode, it's a comedy episode. So it's like, and then they go right back to war and famine and whatever else is happening. But very well done, very well written. Went to a couple of conventions, met a couple of the actors and stuff. So I was very into Xena when I was a kid. Nice. So gotta love it. Now Chuck says, I love Deep Space Nine and TNG equally.
Interesting.
And Wes says that's where Alex Kurtzman and the late Roberto Orci got their start on television writing. On Xena?
Really? Wow. I thought Sam Remy had something to do with Xena, or his brother or something like that.
Who?
Sam Remy?
Yes. And with Robert, and because Ted was in it and Bruce, like they were just all a trio of went to college together and everything like that. So they created the show really with a couple other people. But for writing, there was always different writers. Like I met Steve L. Sears, and he was a really good writer for the show. So they definitely had a lot of good producers and stuff.
Hey, Joel, what's
going on? There's Joel. Hello. And then Wes says the ones where Xena had fought imposters of her were generally regarding funny. Yeah, those were good ones. I did like the bottle episodes. Had a lot of fun with those kind. And then it says, yes, Xena was Orci and Kurtzman started on television. Huh.
Wow. Look at that.
Very, very cool. Well, see, there's more of a Trek and Xena connection. I really got to do a Xena
Trek.
Really episode. I could figure it out. I said something like that to Steve L. Sears on Threads, and he was like, Star Trek and Xena, interesting concept. I'm like, I will make it happen.
There you go.
I will figure it out.
There's a will, there's a way, that's for sure.
Exactly. Now let's see here. So speaking of Trek, let's go up to Deep Space Nine, and here is going to be a clip.
No way! You stole the run from us! You stole it just as if you reached up and tore off the scoreboard! You stole it from us!
You're out of here!
What?
No player shall at any time make contact with the umpire in any manner. The prescribed penalty for the violation is immediate ejection from the game. Rule number 4.06, subsection A, paragraph 4. Look it up, but do it in the stands. You're gone!
So Take Me Out to the Holosuite. It was written by Ronald D. Moore, directed by Chip Chalmers, and there was no star date, but it was in the year of 2375, which also was Insurrection. Now, the episode is when Captain Solak of the Federation starship Tucumbra challenges former classmate Sisko and his crew to a game of baseball. Sisko refuses to lose to the arrogant Vulcan and begins to take the game too seriously. I gotta say, I'm just gonna let it out right now. That Vulcan,
he was so good
in the face.
So good. He was so good as that Vulcan.
Oh my gosh, I just really, that's why the ending. I love the ending.
Yeah,
favorite part of the episode what is it about Take Me Out to the Holosuite that you do love so much? I know you mentioned a little bit palate cleanser, all this stuff, but what else about the episode that you love?
I love the wholesomeness with Rom. It was really when they dove into Rom in such a way where you're seeing that, yeah, he's still a little clumsy, he's still jovial, but at the same time,
Right.
he's got a heart of gold, and he is a game changer, legit in here, because it's almost foreshadowing on how his arc ends in the series. He's the game changer in the show. They did not score; they were getting pummeled, and his bunt is the reason why they scored. So he was the game changer.
Accidental bunt.
Accidental bunt. Huh?
Yeah.
What happened? Boop. Oh, very well acted and portrayed by Max Grodenchek. Again, it's trendsetter, game changer. He's the one that changed the rules for the they're not really an empire, but the Ferengi culture, because as his Nagus, there was some things that changed. So I really respected that about Rom and how his arc ended, and this is kind of one of those things that kind of foreshadowed how his role would change. I also love the banter between Cisco and the Vulcan, because it stems Talak. It stems way back from when they were in the Academy. Yeah, and the wrestling match, and he's like, "Why would you bother? They're 3 times stronger than you." And there's just all these interplays. You don't actually see any of it, but you're getting all this spoken of, like a filler in as to something that really wasn't there for you to see. But it was so well done, and you actually felt it. It's like, oh yeah, I've experienced some terrible losses. As a matter of fact, baseball, I was terrible at the game. And I had stunning defeats in baseball throughout my life. So I get where he was coming from. And but you still saw the camaraderie. Like, if Rom was going to be a part of the game, the rest of them weren't going to play. And they stood up to Cisco and were like, no, you got to let Rom in. You got to let it happen. He's like, I'll let Rom stay in the fans or whatever. But they really got it together. And the team camaraderie, it's like, yeah, we might not win, but at least we're together as a unit. And I really like that. It's like when people work together to advance a common goal, it means a lot, because a lot of people like to say, I'm the one that did everything. And no, you're not. It takes a bunch of people to get the job done. So I loved a lot of that. And I loved how each of the characters really practiced everywhere. Like, they were throwing things at Quark in the bar, and we're going over the rules, and Odo absorbed all the rules of baseball, where he was even able to like mention subsections of the text and everything. So it's those type of things that I love. And of course, the infamous line, "Death to the opposition," from Worf. Absolutely.
Which you came up with an even better one, in my opinion. What did you say on Threads that I was like, has to be on a shirt?
Oh, I babble a lot. I don't.
You said, "Let's crush the opposition."
Oh yes, that's right. Let's crush the opposition on Crusher.
And I was like, yes.
Yeah,
I'm like stealing.
Yeah. I only want 1% finder's fee, and
totally fine. I'll put the Captain's Quadrant.
Captain's Quadrant. All right.
That's like, that's your
free
your 1%. But the one thing, so first off, I'm gonna just bring it up now before I forget. But when Odo got into it, when Kira's walking and she hears him goes, "You're out, strike," all and she sees him like, and he's doing the movements and stuff.
He really
started laughing, and it was cute because this is season 7. This is nearing at the end of the series, and we already know that Kira and Odo was already like really starting to try out their relationship. So she thought it was adorable, right? But like you were saying about Rom, it foreshadowed his whole arc here. And as much as they were showing, this episode technically is about Cisco and his rivalry with this Vulcan, but as you said, it's mentioning more about the team camaraderie within deep, the crew on Deep Space Nine. So for these last 7 years, this is how they've come together. And then also Rom's story was like the B plot, trying to see how he was, I really want to join, and I really want to do this, and I want to spend more time with my son. And so one thing that we noticed, that because even when they were like, no, we're not going to play, he was so out of line. And he's like, no, you guys got to do this because I want you to beat the Vulcans. Like, it's not about the captain. Like, those Vulcans are assholes. Like, they're assholes. Let's just, and Rom understood that. And also, when he did accidentally bunt at the end, it was Nog that he was bringing home, and that was that he wanted. So everything was full circle, and I loved it. And of course, I grew up with baseball.
I see you have an LA Dodgers hat on.
This guy, my little LA Dodgers. One thing I hate though about Star Trek is that it's all about San Francisco. I will forgive. Cisco's wearing the San Francisco Giants hat. I will forgive. But I think for me, my dad wasn't around when I was a kid. So when my stepdad entered the picture, I was a toddler. I was very little. And he was a truck driver. So he didn't really get to be home a lot. So I was just mostly with my mom. But when he was home, he took me to Dodger games. That was our time together. And I remember just going to Dodger games and listening to Vince Scully on the radio while we're watching the play-by-play, and just that experience. And baseball is about the team. You might have some highlighted players where they'll show at the very end, be like, oh, this player, got these stats and blah, blah, blah. But they could also suck the next game, right? And someone else is doing better. So, but it all comes together that if they don't do their exact portion, they're not going to win, right?
Right.
And that was kind of what was highlighted in this episode, was just highlighting each of the characters. Because even in the beginning, Quark was all like, I'm not going to join the game. That's so human, or human.
Mm-hmm. Human. Yes.
Brangy are throwing the stuff at the bar, right? So he got into it. And it did show a different side about the Vulcans, that yes, they are emotionless species, but they do have emotions. Like, it doesn't mean that they don't have them at all. They just know how to suppress them.
Right.
Real fast back in the chat. So Wes had said, he went, oh yeah, Jesse, you mentioned on my show that you had a TV guy cover Jerry Ryan and Lucy Lells. I sure do.
Nice.
It is in my scrapbook. I will show you guys later. And then he said, best scene, Cisco arguing with umpire Odo. Yeah, so this is why I pointed it out, because even Worf, who was like, death to the opposition, go kill them. Like, he's still very Klingon. But he was like getting into it. He's like, no, I finally am about to go on base and you took it away from me.
Yeah, that's right.
Wes also says originally conceived for season 6, but was held over.
Interesting.
And also said that the practice is the best part. Did you know that Max had played semi-pro baseball in real life and had to play it left-handed?
Wow.
In fact, yes, I do, because Armin told me that on Wednesday.
Nice.
He mentioned it to me because I had told him that this was going to drop right after we did this. And he's all like, actually, a bunch of us knew how to play baseball, but we had to play dumb. And then he had mentioned about Max, and he's like, Max was actually the best player of all. And he's like, so
that's full circle, because it's like he's the worst player in the show, but in reality, he's the best player. Yeah. There's so much. There's so much.
It was so great. And then he says, went to many Minnesota Twins games growing up during the 90s when they just absolutely sucked. I know sometimes. Yeah. My 90s Dodgers were my jam.
I have the Mets, so I understand.
We trust me, the 2000s is a very dark time for the Dodgers. Chuck says, my wife is a big Dodger fan. I am an Angels fan. We both grew up in Los Angeles. Now, I do not mind the Angels. Like, I know we have our Freeway series, which is when they go against each other, but we're still one. However, I would never date anyone that was a Giants fan. You say you're a Giants fan, sorry.
You're out.
Do not put on your resume that you came from San Francisco, because I'll have questions. No. I'll be like, okay, Oakland, like A's, or are you talking, even I don't even like the Niners. Like, I don't even like the 49ers, which of course this team is called the Niners.
Yeah, which I thought was funny.
Which that's funny because DS9, San Francisco, it's all, they were able to tie everything together.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I love baseball. I love that Cisco loves baseball. He had the baseball on his desk and always mentioned it. And, again, I'm kind of glad that Cassidy did tell the team on why this was so important, But why do you think Cisco didn't want to tell them?
I think it was
you might think of them differently, or
no, it was
pride.
Yeah, it was pride. It was just a pride thing. He didn't want to tell him because of that, and just how he was as a captain. It was like, I always got most Star Trek captains always figure it out. There's no win scenarios for them, and to know that he lost heavily like that. I mean, yeah, he lost heavily to Eddington a few times during the course of the Maquis story arc, so they're used to seeing that, and of course they lost the station and got it back, but they got it back. So most of the time it's okay, it's a minor setback, but we'll get things back. To know that he got beaten that bad and there was no getting back, probably would have kind of had this veil removed from him, and I think that's why he never told them. That's in my headcanon anyway.
I mean, and Cassidy was, did the wife thing and was like, just don't tell him I told you.
Right. Yeah.
But now at least you guys have an understanding of what's going on. Chuck also says that this is his favorite Deep Space Nine episode. So
interesting.
For a season 7, I know we've always talked about how they'll throw things and see what sticks, right? Like we got Sub Rosa in season 7. I mean, we got Attached, which was great, but it was like, thanks, we waited 7 years. But with this one, it was a cute episode and it made sense. Like it didn't seem shoehorned in.
No. I mean, the season also got one of my favorite episodes, which is Chimera, where J.G. Hertzler comes back as the shapeshifter and gets the disease from Odo. But I'm assuming he got back to the other quadrant and healed himself, or somehow they healed him. But they do take a lot of risks, and it was a nice risk to do something fun. And I thought that really served the series well, because you knew all these years that Captain Cisco liked baseball, but you never saw him actually play it. And you knew, and then you knew Jake loved baseball in proximity because he had a baseball glove and everything since his time on the station. So, when he was fishing in the holodeck, when they first got transferred to Deep Space Nine, you knew that there was this baseball contingency with them. So it was a nice thing to see finally come into fruition.
Right. Yeah. And they also hinted like, I almost said Max. Nope, not the actor. And wrong character too. Nog had mentioned that him and Jake had played catch, so Jake was showing Nog like what humans do on Earth. Like we play some baseball. They even mentioned baseball in TNG in the season 3 premiere Evolutions, when, Wesley had enhanced those nanites and they went crazy and was ruining the experiment for that Dr. Stubbs or whatever. And he talked about how great baseball was, but he didn't want to see it in a holodeck. He created the whole game in his head because it was numbers and things like that, and statistics. And he just, had this, and that was how he got, was able to do his job.
Right.
And of course, some people are like, baseball's boring. And it can be. If you're sitting there for the last 8 innings, it's still 0-0. It's like, it's time to go home. We're not going anywhere at this point.
Right.
Basketball gives me anxieties because it's too much of back and forth. And I'm like, I don't know who's going to win it.
Wow. The only thing that gives me anxiety is sometimes, like, my wife is big into baseball. She's a Yankees fan. And I don't like the large crowds at the stadium. And I'm the most outgoing, like, hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Joe Dub. Let's be friends. And she's the big introvert. She's like, stay away from me. I've got my dog because I get anxiety. And it's the opposite there. I'm like, somebody's going to do something bad. Or, I have all these things that rotate in my head. So I usually have like a big crowds thing, but she doesn't mind it. She likes the thrill of being in the large crowd, and when they hit a home run and everybody cheering and the peanut shells flying everywhere, including in the back of your shirt, because that's where we took her for her birthday. But,
I mean, I enjoy. I'm pretty extroverted, introverted. My husband's very introverted. He's like, I could stay in all day, right?
Mm.
But there's something about the baseball crowd for me, and maybe it's because my stepdad took me as a child that it just, brings back good memories. Now we don't have any professional teams here in Idaho.
Oh,
We do have like a double A team, and it's kind of, old school outside, kind of very small little stadiums. I've actually never gone, but I do go to hockey games a lot. Do not care for hockey, but I love the atmosphere, right? So the music and the teams and everyone's screaming and, saying refs, you suck. Like it just feels good.
yeah. Yeah.
You're one with everybody. So I do, and I get the tickets because my company actually owns the arena, and so
that's fun.
we get to have fun.
I work as a media director for a church that has the New Jersey Devils stadium behind it.
Nice.
And they have an agreement because of over something. There's another story, but I can't really talk about that. It's NDA. But
there's a story. Yes,
there's a story, and we every now and then they get tickets to the Devils things. But I find it like a very interesting yin and yang because the church is renting it out to the Devils. You know what I mean? It's like here.
Oh, hilarious! There's
something. Yeah, there's a story, a bigger funny. Story here. Yeah,
that is funny. Actually, I think I missed this comment here. Chuck says a nice blooper in this episode. Nana's baseball uniform went back and forth from Kira to Nerys on the back.
Oh, wow.
Wow, Chuck. Now I gotta go watch the episode again.
Yeah, I just saw it yesterday and I'm like, this is so wholesome. Turn off. I didn't even catch that. I should have taken more notes.
How funny.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. But Chuck did also say, I also love Who Mourns for Mourn. I sat next to Mark Allen Shepard in the audience at the convention. They had just filmed that episode. He was telling me all about Who Mourns for Mourn episode. Well, that's cool.
Very cool.
Chuck, that's awesome.
Well, Mourn is a chatterbox this whole time.
He had always
just doesn't shut up.
Founder voice, hello and welcome. Baseball hot dogs are the best. They really are. I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know. I just because again, I think it's the atmosphere, the hot water, and the ketchup's all warm. Like there's just no other way. And then of course we have the Dodger dogs, which is like the foot long.
Yeah.
So they're really great. But he's just like, yes, great blooper. Well, that's awesome. Now, because this is a Beverly Crusher podcast, I wanted to make this as a what would Beverly do?
Oh, of course.
So let's take Cisco out for a hot second and put Beverly in. Let's say she had some kind of rivalry with someone from the academy. Okay. Mm-hmm. Would she be like Cisco, being like, I'm going to get him? Or would she be more like, if we win, we win. If we lose, we lose. Oh, well.
Oh, that is a great question because Beverly, like we did one of the Agony Booth episodes on our show where they kidnapped all the kids. And then they had like there was like a planet, and she was. I think that was the one you were on, actually, right? Yes, yeah. Well, you guest starred. Yeah, you know that one well.
I do.
She was very mellow about the whole situation, so I can see her kind of pulling back and observing from another standpoint, where Cisco was kind of an aggressive captain. She's kind of okay. I'll find a way, and then she would probably find a way for Wes to get involved, and because let's say take Jake out and put Wes in,
right,
and have him get involved. The thing that bugged me about this episode is Dr. Bashir is an enhanced individual,
and they mentioned that.
Yeah, so why didn't he do better? Like he should have just been on the same par with the Balkans. I would have assumed Beverly would have had tapped into that advanced DNA that he's got. Use his strength, use his speed, and use Wes to kind of like do a little bit better and maybe get like very close instead of being a total shutout until Rom hits the button. But
like do the signs for the for the bunt team.
Yeah.
Now I agree. However, the thing that came to mind with Beverly was quality of life. with the exocomps with Data saying that they were
all dying. They couldn't reproduce, and
yeah, well, they were living species. Like he's all like, they are like actually enhanced species, and we can't kill them. But she was so like really getting with the boys. Like, remember in the very beginning, they do the poker game, and she's doing a bet where she's all like, if I win, you shave your beards. If I lose, I'll dye my hair brunette. And then all of a sudden she's with Worf, and they're doing his program with his bat lift, and she gets hit. She's like, I'm gonna get you next time. Like, she was, for some reason, was just having this, I'm gonna get it with the boys. And she was just having this competition with them. And I never understood why, especially with Quality of Life. It's such a random episode for her to be all like, I'm going to get you guys.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean,
well,
when you think about her in Picard, she was badass, shooting down changeling ninjas and everything. So
well, that was Mama Bear. That's what we saw.
Protecting my son, yeah.
But there was clearly a moment where she was just like, you know what? These boys think they're better than us, and I'm going to prove them wrong. So if this were to happen, like if she was in Cisco's shoes, I kind of feel like she would be very competitive. I kind of feel like she would be all like, you know what? Before, yes, you won, blah, 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 blah. Fine, over with, got it. But because like that Vulcan came onto Cisco's turf and was like, let's use your favorite game so I could still beat you. Like this was very in your face, taunting. Like they're adults now. Why would the Vulcan even care? He's already beaten them so many times. He's already been gloating about it. Why keep going? You know, because the Vulcan liked it. This is where it was showing like he was very arrogant and he had these emotions and stuff. And I think Beverly would really just be like, I'm going to beat you at your own game. Like, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to prove to you that we could beat Vulcans at something, you know? And which is what Cisco tried. And in the end did, but in a different way. So real fast founder voice had said, it's because those hot dogs are expensive.
That's true. Those are... They taste good because I paid a lot of money for them.
Because I paid $10 for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Chuck says the dartboard at the baseball game. Was the dartboard there?
Really? Wow, he really gets into it. Here we are thinking we deep dive.
And Beverly always crushes it. It's very true. But that's where I'm all like, wow, what would Beverly do? I think she would be like, bring it on. Or she would also just help Cisco. Bring it on. Let's go. Just like how they were doing it, you know, because even Kira got into it with that one female Vulcan who stopped her from pulling that double play. And then she got up into her face. Like they were getting into it.
Yeah. Now I wonder, are Bajorans extra strong as well compared to humans?
I don't think so.
No.
He didn't mention it.
Yeah.
And the same with the Trill. He really just mentioned Worf and Bashir.
Yeah.
And for Worf, I think it was more like because he is like a big dude, you know, you have to, you know, I mean, like Babe Ruth was really known for his hitting. Like he had a lot of home runs. Yeah. But he wasn't that great of running around the bases.
No.
Right?
So I got to hit a home run so I could just walk around and not have
just so I could walk, just so I could just trot around. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I'll even mention about Jackie here in a second, but with Worf, I think because he was just such a big dude, he didn't understand really how to get a hit. You know, he could run and stuff, great, but he, you know, didn't understand that part of it. But yeah, it was kind of weird that they would mention Bashir, but then didn't utilize him really in the episode. He was just healing everybody. That was his utilizing. He kept healing people.
Yeah. I don't think Bev would have just healed everybody. I think she would have got in on it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Bashir would have wanted a dartboard. No dartboard there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, because him and O'Brien are always playing darts. He would rather do that than be playing baseball.
Yeah.
Now, is there any other like fun things that you wanted to mention about this episode? I know I did love it with Lita because she was very like supportive.
Right. We got the ball rolling on everybody just kind of standing up against Cisco. to ensure that Rom stayed in the game. So there's always that.
Yeah.
It was interesting that they used that same shot. Like you go, it's a different ship here, but it's like the same shot of the other ships. I'm a big ship guy, so I always like to see, in the pylon, what ships are running around the space station, and it was just kind of like that same run of the mill ship. That it's just like, okay, we could have had like a maybe a Reliant remake, because everybody, exactly, just something. Bev ship, that'd have been the steam runner just coming.
Like, look at that.
Yeah, there it is.
This is literally the only ship I will ever own.
Oh wow. Yeah,
but it's fine.
I've got a small Eagle Moss collection here. I've got the D.
That's a beautiful D right there.
The C and the D, which is actually a speaker. So sometimes
nice.
Let's see if I can get it to light up, because sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I don't put all my faith into it.
I think Lori from Trek movie, I think she actually got that for her birthday, because she was telling me about it. She said, yeah, it does light up when it's playing the music.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, it does light up when it plays music. Let's see if it works today. It might not work, just to be enough to the opposition. But it's a really cool ship. No, it's not crushing it. The center light and some of the others. Yeah, it's not working today, but it's not supposedly.
How rude, D. How
rude. But
this is a freaking Beverly Crusher podcast. You would think that
it should work.
Participate.
Yeah. Come on.
My husband, one of those little silver, I would grab it, but I'm afraid it will fall apart because it's so sensitive. But he created the D. I'll send a picture, look at it on socials, but he created the D in this little like metal pieces that he put together. So we have that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm afraid to even touch it at this point.
Yeah, I touched the button. It didn't light up. I got to charge it.
No Garrick in this episode.
Oh, yeah. That is a sad thing. Garrick is a
Garrick
gem.
would have been fun.
Yeah.
Garrick would have been hilarious.
Garrick would have spied on the other team and would have got all their plays, and they would have crushed them. That's what it would have.
That's what
I would have done. Like Garrick would have been like, oh, hello. I've come to see how your
let me fix your out. Yeah, let me see how your outfit's doing.
Yeah.
And then I got my Ractagino mug for this special occasion.
There you go. Fantastic.
But it wasn't Garrick literally only in like 38 episodes of the whole series?
37. Exactly.
37. Oh, yeah. I just guessed.
Yeah, that was so good. I'm a huge Garrick fan, and more on that in the future. But I absolutely love anytime Garrick's on scene, and when he's not, you're always wondering, what's Garrick doing? Because he's usually planning or plotting. So
something's happening.
Yeah, something's happening. He's not in the background, not doing anything. He's purposeful everywhere he is.
There's a concern happening.
Yeah, he may be murder. He may not. So,
or he might just be making a shirt. We don't know.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. One thing I love about this episode is it's probably more expensive for them to get permits and film on an actual baseball field, get the crew and everybody out there, than it was to actually shoot on studio. Because the studio is already set up. There's no building. There's no anything you have to do. You don't have to get extra permits or anything. This is from like a production perspective. They would probably have to like find a baseball field suitable, find somewhere where it's not too heavily populated, so like a neighborhood baseball field, and then find something suitable where everybody can get into an actual dugout. So the permits and the onset location and everything that they probably had to do probably cost more, and that's probably why they had to push it out to this season.
Yeah, that's true.
So I always
I forgot to look it up. There was it was a small baseball field out in, oh gosh, somewhere in LA County. I want to say kind of near like San Gabriel, Pasadena area, that was used a lot for movies and things like that. But it was like you said, a neighborhood little baseball field. And I wanted to actually look to see if they had used that for Deep Space Nine, and I forgot to do it because unfortunately, work crazy happens.
Yeah.
But that baseball field recently burned down.
Oh wow! How do you burn? Oh well, I guess
it was a homeless person.
Yeah,
a homeless person was cold, and he went into the little dugout, started a fire, and
jeez.
And you know, it was devastating because you've seen this field in a lot of movies and things like that. And so I wanted to look into it because I was curious if it was the same one. And I had just, when I had visited my family last year, I had passed that baseball field. I was like,
Oh,
oh
wow.
yeah, that one. And then it burned down like 6 months later. I was like, gosh, what the hell? So yeah, I can't remember what it
All
was
right, so I'll tell you
called.
right now. It was shot at Lola Marymount University in Los Angeles.
No, I said it. Not the same baseball field.
Nope. But
yeah.
at least you know where it was filmed.
But at least now I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because I was curious.
I'm good at the Googles.
You're good to Google.
Google real time.
I'm multitasking with other
you got to
things.
run a
Like, I'll
show. I
Google
don't.
it.
I can Google for you. I got you.
I appreciate that.
No problem.
Let me see. Oh, actually, I think he already beat you to it.
Oh, wow. I visited that field at Lola Marymount University.
Yep. So Chuck beat you by like 30 seconds because it was already on here that I missed.
Oh, I didn't see it. I'm not reading the comment. Let me put it on the comments field. There we go.
Well, I saw
can
for
join
some
the
reason
chat.
it was like not moving, and I was like, "Oh, there it is." So Chuck, you win. You are our expert here today. You're our Google. Okay,
Yeah.
you're an honorary Google. He went there 2 years ago. They filmed the episode there at Low Load. Yep. Okay. Cool.
All right, so here I'm
Good
going to
to
beat
know.
Chuck really quick because that's how I am. I'm a Vulcan when it comes to stuff like that. This was actually rated the 8th best episode in all of Star Trek.
Of all of Star Trek.
All of Star Trek, yes.
Wow.
Yes. The Hollywood Reporter ranked "Take Me Out to the Holosuite" as 16 out of 20 of all Star Trek episodes for Deep Space Nine. Zach Handlin of the AV Club noted in 2014 review that it investigates the emotions of losing and leadership of an underdog in the sports team. And Keith R.A. DeCandido of TOR.com gave this episode a rating of 7 out of 10. So it's very well liked. And Keith was actually on our show, and I said his name wrong. So that's always fun. But ironically, that is also the episode where I learned we don't stream on Instagram Live because it had that weird thing.
Oh,
everything is full circle today.
So look at this first circle we're doing.
Yeah,
my
it's
goodness.
a lot of circles here.
Oh my goodness. So I have severe dyslexia, like severe.
Oh.
And I have the hardest time pronouncing just names, words, anything. And I had a severe brain injury about 20 years ago.
Wow.
And so that didn't help. And so as I've gotten older, like for some reason, if everyone's an X-Men fan, the lady who does the voice of Rogue, her name is Lenore Zan. Okay, it's Lenore Zan.
Okay.
But for some reason, I keep thinking Zan, Zane. Like I have to go down the list before I finally get to the Zan part.
Yeah. Well,
and sure enough, I always mess up, and I feel so bad because I love Lenore and she's amazing. But then I can remember Stephanie Chakowski. Like it's no big deal.
Oh yeah.
Like Chakowski's easy. Can't say Hageman Brothers. Is that how you can't say it? I can't do it.
Yeah.
I want to say Hagerman, and I know that's not their name. And I'm like, so the brothers. That's what you ever
yeah. So brothers, how you guys doing?
Aaron Wolke and the brothers. That's why.
Because
my brain is not computing. It's just the little buffer circle happening right at that moment. And being live isn't exactly very good for me.
Yeah.
But Chuck says, I have been doing reviews of TNG and TOS free for all segments, the 7th rule for the last few months. So he knows his stuff.
Absolutely. I'm just on the
That's why he's the real Google. He's been doing he's doing all the memory alpha and everything.
Wow.
But
that's fun.
Since all about baseball and why I wanted to do this episode at this particular time was because 3 days ago was Jackie Robinson Day. And I'm going to pop that up here on the screen real fast.
Jackie.
And of course, my my little my little outline there apparently is a little too big. That's fine. So here he is. Jack Roosevelt Robertson was born on January 31st, 1919, and passed away October 24th, 1972. So he was about 53 years of age. And it says here, and I got this from the Britannica, which was the encyclopedia. Look that up, kids.
Mm.
Says a U.S. baseball player, the first black player in the major leagues. Robertson became an outstanding performer in several sports at Pasadena Junior College and UCLA before leaving college to help his mother care for the family. He served as a second lieutenant in the U.S. Army in World War II. He played baseball with the Kansas City Monarchs of the Negro Leagues before being signed by Branch Rickey to the Brooklyn Dodgers farm team in 1945 and 46. On April 15, 1947, Robinson played his first game for the Dodgers, breaking the MLB color line. He subsequently withstood with notable dignity fans and players.
Opposition to his presence.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it stopped. Opposition to his presence, and he found immediate success as he led the league in stolen bases and was chosen Rookie of the Year in 1947. In 1949, he won the batting championship with a .342 average and was voted the league's most valuable player. He retired from the Dodgers in 1956, which was just before we went to LA, with a career batting average of .311. In his later years, he strongly supported the cause of the civil rights movement. Now, I adore Jackie. I did a little writing here. So it says, retired number 42 on April 15th, 1997. And in 2004, April 15th became Jackie Robinson Day. And since 2009, every Major League Baseball team wears 42 in honor of Jackie. The movie 42 came out in 2012, actually. I thought it was 2013, but it's actually 2012. Chadwick Boseman played the famous ball player before he was famous for Black Panther, which highlighted the discrimination during that time about breaking the barrier of the color in the major leagues with the stepping stone for the civil rights movement, which primarily took place in the 50s and 60s. One thing that I did this week, I'm a housekeeping manager. I have a team of 18, and the majority of my team, like half of them, are immigrants from Africa. And of course, they still speak just like their native language, which is either Swahili, a different dialect of Swahili, or French. But they've only been in this country for at least a couple of years. And so I wanted to show them just who Jackie was and why he was so important and why he would be important to them. And so, and I have a giant Jackie photo in my office. It's one of those famous shots of him stealing home. And I just basically broke down of just like, hey, this is who he is and why it was important. And I was like, because of people like Jackie, and I'm like, and because of people like Rosa Parks and Martin Luther King Jr. and so many others, I was like, you guys are able to be here today and be able to work with us and do a good job and create your own American dream, right? Because they left Africa for so many reasons. And a couple of them started to cry, and I felt bad. Like, I don't mean to make you cry. But then they were like, can we see your picture? Because I had said that it was in my office. I was like, yeah. And they just kind of flooded. My office is small. And they just kind of were all looking in and like just staring at the photo. And then when Jackie Robinson Day had happened, I pulled them in the next day and played the video of like how every team was paying tribute. And how, kids were getting scholarships and how his grandchildren were, throwing the first pitch and just all these different things. And they were just like, oh, thank you for telling us this. They were so excited. And since I was little, I was always just fascinated by the civil rights movement. I was always fascinated about like Black History Month and everything like that, just because of so much that they went through. I mean, when I watched 42, I get so mad, and I love that. And I don't know if it actually happened or if they just did this for dramatics, but when Rachel Robinson had seen, because they lived in Pasadena, where in California segregation wasn't really a huge thing in the 40s, but in the South, obviously it was. And she saw her first time really of whites only, of a bathroom or something. And now Jackie's like, now, Rach, like, just let it go. Like, and she's like, nope. And she walked right into the bathroom.
Good.
She's like, I gotta use the restroom. Or like even like the movie Hidden Figures. Right?
Yeah.
Like it took, and this kind of represents a little bit of what this episode did. Because like even in Hidden Figures, like, or even Branch Rickey for signing Jackie, like it took a team. You know, it took so many people to make this happen.
Right.
Like Jackie didn't do it alone. The women from Hidden Figures didn't do it alone. They were stronger. They had to fight more than anybody else in this fight. But they had someone watching their back. They had someone supporting them. Which this episode also represented in a lot of ways. Not only were they supporting their captain, but they're all supporting Rom, who was seen as the outcast, who was seen as not good enough. And, I feel that, especially with Jackie, that those moments, especially in the 40s, is really the stepping stone of how the civil rights movement just really took off, where it was like, we're not gonna take this shit anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we're done. Yeah.
I love speaking of Jackie Robinson, there's a amazing bronze statue in Youngstown, Ohio. The statue commemorates the handshake between Jackie Robinson of the Montreal Royals and his white teammate George Shuba, a native of Youngstown. And they put that there to commemorate the barrier breaking for the game from the Jersey City Giants at the Roosevelt Stadium in New Jersey, to commemorate the organization of professional baseball. So it was there's also a statue of him, and that's right down the road for me, that statue.
Yeah.
And
it's a cool statue. I've seen it.
Yeah, with his hands up and everything. So
yeah. Have you seen 42?
I have a number of years ago. I think I saw it when it came out. And I think that solidified Chadwick Boseman's acting career.
It sure did. He also did what was it? James Brown. Didn't he do James Brown?
Yeah, he did. I believe so.
He was very good at capturing those moments. And I mean, the Black Panther is not like an actual like historic figure, but he's historic in our own way because of the comic books.
Yeah.
He did so well in just capturing
he was in Get On Up.
Essence. The different essence of each character and just expressing just how amazing they truly were. Like Jackie died young. He died of, heart disease, like heart attack and stuff like that. They suffered a lot of tragedies.
Chadwick too.
Chadwick too.
Yeah.
Ironically. But here's also too with Rachel's still alive. She's 102.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Whoa.
Yeah, 101, 102. Yeah. And I'm like,
incredible.
You're the matriarch of baseball, Rachel.
Totally.
You are absolutely a gem. And so I mean, she hasn't had her husband in 50 plus years, but she's still carrying on his name in the best way possible, and with the grandkids and with the great grandkids. Like one of the videos, it was for Dodger Stadium, obviously, and it was I can't remember her name, but it was one of Jackie's granddaughters who threw the first pitch, and it was Mookie Betts who caught it. And so I had pointed that out, and I had my translator let them know, like, that's his granddaughter. And they were like, oh, like they were like, just to kind of see, like we were saying, full circle, that full circle moment where it was just like really important about just what so many did before them just to get to, them here. Because a lot of my employees are like in their 30s, and so they're younger than me, and they're learning just, I was all like, America went through a lot, 50, 60, 70 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to keep passing those on. I'm very big about and very passionate about my own family history, just to pass on all the stuff that, my family has gone through and, things like that. But that is why I wanted to do Deep Space Nine's Take Me Out to the Holosuite, because not only is it a fun episode, it's a great episode. It's about baseball, and I love my baseball, but I wanted to represent Jackie Robinson in the best way possible. And look, a black captain in the field.
Exactly.
I mean, talk about
here's a fun connection with Jackie that I have via Star Trek, not Star Trek, but like my grandfather was big on my family watching Star Trek because my mother's side of the family is African American, and he was like, "Hey, look, we have a woman in power, and she's the same rank as me. He was a lieutenant in the police force in New York, and he made it a point to always take him to Mets games because the Mets were like the union team, so it was about the camaraderie again. So full circle." So those lessons instilled in my mother have gotten me into Star Trek because she was like, "Hey, we have a future. I want you to watch Star Trek. My dad put me onto this, and I'm putting you onto it." So, though it started with the Space Hippies episode, the Way to Eden, is very different.
You're like, why are we watching?
This is weird.
This is our future.
Yeah, I don't know about this, but it's so inspiring to watch Star Trek because you know that after all the chaos and all the destruction that happens throughout the years, in the future, there's going to be a bright light. And if you believe that this Roddenberry creation is the beacon for a goal that we should obtain to, then, that's more reason to dive into it and explore the universe, because hopefully some of these teachings will be rubbed off on the fans. I know they are, because we've got, cell phones and iPads and laptops from TNG and the communicator, which was like the original cell phone. There's so much science fiction that became science fact because of Star Trek and the ideas of these creators, that I just feel that there is hope and there is a beacon from this, both socially and scientifically.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one of the things that you guys are going to hear in about 30 minutes is about, how that camaraderie, when we come together in this Trek community, can do amazing things. And that's what I talk about with Kitty and Armin about, raising money and raising awareness for pancreatic cancer, or how we just did that with Trek Talks for the Hollywood Food Coalition, or how we did it last year with Pavlov and Tad and doing the D&D game. Like, we all come together, we're all doing it for a great cause and to help others. And that's what I think really Star Trek is about, is just really showcasing that compassion, love, kindness, things that I think that Beverly represents. Now, Founder Voice says, crushing the history on this show. Much love. I try. And then Chuck had to leave. He says, thank you, Jesse and Joe, for the live stream. I have to leave the chat. But yeah, so, again, huge Jackie fan, love him. I was going to wear my Jackie shirt, but I haven't fully taken like the winter and summer swap yet. And so I'm still tucked away somewhere.
Winter doesn't want to go, man. This is such a cold spring.
It's been weird. Like in the morning, it's 32. And by the time I come home from work, it's like 75. And I'm like, and I'm carrying all my stuff. And I'm like, no, this isn't fun.
Right.
But let's go ahead and jump into our penny for our thoughts.
Penny for your thoughts.
And actually, this first one is from Wes, who was in our chat earlier. So here's what he had to say about this episode of Deep Space Nine.
Hi, Jesse and Joe, who are doing this episode of Crusher Convo. Anywho, here are my thoughts on Take Me Out to the Holosuite from Deep Space Nine. It is one of my favorite episodes of Deep Space Nine, and I'm a huge baseball fan, even though my Minnesota Twins sucked major butt this year. Anywho, I love it, all of it, and it's really fun, and it's a good, lighthearted episode in the wake of the Dominion War saga that took place during the last 2 seasons of the show. Have fun talking about it, and I hope to be on this podcast soon. Take care and live long and prosper.
Which is exactly what you said earlier.
Yeah,
like it was a nice little, perfect little gem in the middle of a mad chaos.
Yeah, exactly. Wes is a great guy. Definitely check out Twin Cities.
Yes, Twin Cities Trekkies. I was just on his show talking about 7 of 9, another amazing female character, which I will die on this hill that she is the best character arc in Star Trek history. That is my opinion.
Wow.
But this other penny comes from Ed from My Figure Universe.
Hey, this is Ed Pogue from My Figure Universe, and I have not really a question, but more of an anecdote that I wanted to share about the episode that you're talking about. The Take Me Out to the Holosuite. One of my favorite anecdotes I ever learned about that was Aaron Eisenberg posted about 3 posts before he passed away, and I welcome everyone to check it out. When he was about 11 or 12, he used to play on a baseball team that had won a championship. He had the best coach he ever had that season, who taught him more about the game than anyone prior, and he utilized his perceived weaknesses as his strength. His name was Coach Cisco. And I always thought that was a great story and how it tied in really well with the fact that the coach in that episode was Coach Cisco. Have a great show.
Isn't that cool?
That guy is amazing. One of my absolute favorite.
I love Ed.
Ed, hats off to you. Many cheers. He is a regular, thank God, on our live stream as well. And
he's been great to me. It's
so
like his
good.
last month or two. Like he's just been crushing it with helping me out and everything.
Yeah,
and I was like,
Ed is
you are awesome. He is so great.
Amazing. I posted as a joke. They had somebody altered the original screen photo for Picard for the original TNG series, and the actual one is with he looks like Aaron Eckhart because he has the same type of hair as Aaron Eckhart, where it's kind of like combed over or whatever.
Oh yeah, that Violations photo.
Violations photo, right. But somebody took a screen cap of another episode and said that was the screenshot, and I posted because it was hilarious. He had like this curly hair, and he looked like it looked like something out of Soul Glow or whatever. And then Ed was like, "Hold up, that ain't the right photo." I was like, "Well, okay." And then I looked and it's like, "Oh, you could see like the bad Photoshop." I was like, "Yeah, whatever, it's a joke. Here's the actual photo." So I posted the actual photo. But then he went back. He's like, "I don't mean to be this guy," but he like broke it down. It's like you can kind of see the bad Photoshop. And it's like, "No, you're right, dude." So like if I need to like phone a friend with knowledge, of
right?
It's Ed, Jason, my co-host, and Wes. Those guys are like constant.
Am I on the list? Because I pointed out the violation one.
You're up there.
I did. Yeah. I was all like, so I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, but this actually violations.
Yeah.
I was like, but fun fact, Gates used her actual hair in that
there you go
flashback episode when he had to wear the wig. So it was a nice little
I'm just glad for the interaction with people. That's the whole part.
Right.
All chat. Yeah. So, but you get more love out of honey. People will come. Oh, something sweet to tear up. Let me come.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So let me jump in now into my tricorder rating.
My tricorder.
Oh, that has like a hint of just like the Fleetwood Mac in there. There's like a little.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, thank you for saying Fleetwood Mac and not Beyonce. or
I'm older.
Child or whatever.
Yeah, I'm older. I wouldn't.
I was all like, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I got 4 whole votes here. Now, just so everyone is aware, you can vote on my Patreon page without being a Patreon member. I think sometimes people get confused. They're like, oh, do I have to be? You don't have to be a member. It's completely open to the public. I do that on purpose. It was just really hard to have like 5 different areas for different voting and add it all together. It was too much.
Makes sense.
So I was like, one area, but 4 whole votes, and they're all 100%. 5 ROM saves the day.
There you go.
I also had 4. The 4 disappeared, but 4 Cisco gets ejected, 3 arrogant Vulcans, and 1 to 2 death to the opposition. I don't know. I'm a ROM saves the day. I really enjoy this episode. I could watch it over and over. It is a comfort episode.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just because it's about baseball, but I don't know. There was just so much about it that was so much fun. And I think Armin had even mentioned about how fun it was to do that episode.
Sure, yeah.
He was all like, yeah, that was a great episode to do. Like, he was like, we had a lot of fun, which is nice to hear because, they do 16-hour days to do these, 24 episodes a season back in the 90s. And
Miss
so
those days.
Those days.
Agony booth, man. Come back to those. We need fillers.
It was just one of those things where it was just like throw in some little bit of a comfort episode so we could have some fun and not get so stressed out. But yeah, definitely wanted to mention that. But yeah, so what would you give it?
Oh, this is a high ranking episode on my list.
Yeah.
It's Sci-Fi said it was top 16 or top 8. It was a top 8 holodeck episode of the entire series, and it's a top 16 in the entire series. There's different ratings from different people.
Yeah,
but for me, it's a 9 out of 10. The only thing that would have made it a 10 is if I got to see the Defiant just kind of like swing by.
Maybe a Garrick. Maybe Garrick.
Just like
he was a little bit more Bashir.
Yeah, a little bit more Bashir. But I mean, if Garrick would have helped them cheat, I thought that would have been cool. But I know Cisco wouldn't have been down for cheating, so he'd have been like, Garrick, get out of here. You probably would have shoot him off.
I don't know. Didn't the pale moonlight or whatever already happen at that point?
Yeah. So that's kind of like we can't cheat twice with Garrick. We can only do it once.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah,
he's like, I only have one card per.
Yeah. for series, for Cisco.
For series, yeah.
Yeah, but that's probably the only reason why it's not a 10 out of 10. Put a little Andy Robinson in there, it would have been incredible.
Darn close. It would have been great. Yes.
In a ship, but you know what? Have him fly a ship. Just go bye. Then I like,
it's a twofer. You got two right there.
There we go. Have him flying the ship up.
That's hilarious. Yeah, like I said, this is such a great episode and I really enjoy it. But speaking of episodes, I'm going to find out right now what my next episode's going to be. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
It's time for the Sick Bay Spinner. So it looks like I am going into what's the name of the song? I'm going to have the faith of the heart here.
It's been a long road getting from there.
It's been a long road to get here, but I am here, and I will be sitting down with my good friend Jay, who had been helping me out so much last season, deep diving some episodes, and also did some reacting reviews of Prodigy. And can't wait to have him back. And now we're going to be watching The Breach, which is a really good Phlox episode. And so I'm excited to kind of see
Mr.
a little deep dive of that. Yes, a Billingsley episode. He was so happy because when I first interviewed John, hadn't seen Enterprise yet. And so I had to tell him
wow.
I knew John of other things because he's such a character actor.
Yeah,
I
he was in
True
Blood,
yeah.
and he's
exactly. So I was all like, I know who you are. I just don't know your character. And he was like, you could have the wrong actor. I was like, I don't, but thank you. So when I saw him for Trek Talks this year, I was like, guess what? I've seen some Enterprise. And he's all like, yes, now you know.
Now you know how I do all this stuff. Yeah.
Now I know how it, and then of course we go through the whole, because I kept saying Denobulin wrong. And so I was like, I'm gonna say it. And I said it. He's like, you got it. So he was very proud of me. So yes, I'm going to be doing a Phlox episode. This one is a personal favorite of mine, and I'm actually almost into I'm into season 4 now of Enterprise. I just finished season 3, and so
you dealt with the Xindi.
I dealt with the Xindi. That was a hard season to get through.
Oh yeah. It's one of my favorite Phlox episodes in that season, where he's by himself on the ship and everybody's asleep. So good.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I did. That's Doctor's Orders. Is that what it was?
Doctor's Orders. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good episode.
This one I felt with the Breach is a good Hippocratic oath and deciding about who you are. I don't know. And he did it so well. So this will be another What Would Beverly Do episode.
It's gonna be fun.
It's going to be great. But now let's get into my redhead alert. I got to sit down with Rob from the band, the Beverly Crushers. They just had a new album release, so tune those instruments and join me in the chat as my conversation with him drops at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on YouTube next Friday.
Ooh.
He was loads of fun. You've had Rob on your show.
Yes, he's awesome. Great album too.
So
and
awesome.
He's another person that's a reach out for deep Trek in trivia. So
you're going to love our conversation.
Yeah, I know.
You're gonna absolutely love it.
Yeah,
we got deep.
Yeah,
we got very deep. So also here, congratulations to Trek Talks for helping raise over $80,000 for the Hollywood Food Coalition. It was a wonderful event. Now, I didn't get to see all of it live as it was also my mom's birthday, which was First Contact Day. But I did get to go back and watch the event from their YouTube channel at Trek Talks Telethon. And if you didn't get the chance to donate on the day, that's okay, as you could still donate by going to givebutter.com/Trek Talks 4.
There you go.
And like I said, right after this, my conversation with Kitty Swink and Armin Shimmerin will premiere. I sat down with them to talk about this year's Purple Stride and why this year is so important. So stick around here in just a few more minutes and here on my channel and check it out.
Make sure you stay. It's a good one. And yeah,
I hope you guys enjoy it. And of course, for my Patreon shoutouts, go to Chuck, who was in the chat, Leslie, and Dave, who are my Commander patrons, and Engineer Mark, who is my Admiral patron. If you would like to support the podcast and enjoy exclusive extra content, just head over to patreon.com/Crusher Combo, and you can sign up for as low as $3 a month. Woo! We did it! Woo. All right. So thank you, Joel, for joining me, and please let the listeners know where they can find you.
If you are into Star Trek, as I am, and my co-host, especially the Shatner days, we are now diving into the Kelvin universe. Yay!
Great show.
We mainly forte in a show called The Agony Booth, where we watch those filler episodes and we spin the Wheel of Agony, which is very, very dramatic, and it's a whole big piece. So definitely check it out. It's a lot of fun. But we are dictated by the wheel as to what episodes that you can watch. And now we have our patrons decide what episodes we watch, and we remove one of our episodes, add their pick, as well as their handle on the wheel. So it's a lot of fun over in the Captains Quadrant. I am joined by comedian and TikTok legend Jason Roy Gaston, and we just dive into Trek. We have so much fun. We get a little out there. It's a wild show. As you know, you've been on.
I've been there. Yeah,
we like to have a lot of laughs because life is stressful enough. So every Friday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we just jump into Trek, have a lot of laughs, relax, kick up, and just have fun. And that's what our show's all about.
Are you going live tonight?
It's a secret. No, we are pre-recorded because he has a stand-up show. Okay. So yeah, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we support him. Do your thing, but we are
so double feature. So guys, like you got to see us here, right here on Crusher Combo. Just check out the conversation I have with Armin and Kitty because it's about 30 minutes, and then head over to Captains Quadrant. Yeah. You'll be able to watch their pre-recorded episodes. So
we're usually live. We're going to be live next week. We do Wormholes. It's going to be a fray into sci-fi where we give Trek a little break because there's a lot of wild sci-fi shows out there. So we're talking about Stargate Universe. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Interesting. I have not.
Yeah, it's a fun show. It's wild.
I have never even seen Firefly.
Oh. You got to check that one out too. You got a lot to watch.
I got a lot to watch.
Yeah, you got a lot to watch.
Let me just get through Trek first. Hey, I've seen Doctor Who. Okay, give me some kudos.
That's longer. That's
even longer. So just pat myself on the back. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, 63 to 88 without an interruption. Too much. That's a lot of Doctor Who. I mean, their series are shorter, but that's another conversation.
That's totally fine. We'll probably have a Doctor Who episode. I'll drag you along.
Yeah, there you go.
You know what? Podcast. But you know what? This was loads of fun. Thank you, Joe, for having us talk about not only the best of Deep Space Nine and baseball, but also celebrating Jackie Robinson. I had a lot of fun. Thank you guys for everyone that was in the chat and anyone that is going to hit this up later on. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done that yet. It is the best way to support this podcast. But also, if you do want to support in other ways, you could also buy me a coffee. You could also go join on Patreon. You can go hit me up on the socials, whatever you want to do. Even write a review. It all helps out. So thank you guys so much. And as always, live long and prosper. Have a good night, guys.
Crusher out.